Good afternoon, good evening, good morning to everyone. Thank you very much for joining us once again for this amazing talk show. You're welcome. This is the Zambian Youth Platform. We're coming to you live on our YouTube channel, our Facebook channel, our Twitter and Instagram. I am your host, Dr. Chimunya Mwinde, and I'm not alone. I am joined in with other lovely guests. Good afternoon, Mwiza.
Good afternoon, Dr. Mwinde, and good afternoon, viewers, listeners. Thank you.
All right, you can just introduce yourself.
Okay, well, like she said, my name is Mwiza Mpatisha. I am a psychologist and practicing psychotherapist right here in Zambia. And I'm very happy to be here. Mental health is like my favorite topic, and I'm really excited about being a part of this conversation today.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Enoch.
Good afternoon, thanks. Um,
You
lovely
can
afternoon to
introduce yourself
everyone.
to us.
Based on the time that you're listening or watching us from, I think it may be afternoon, morning, evening at the time. As mentioned, my name is Enoch. I'm a finance student at CRESO, and I'm also a youth advocate. And I'm the Student Congress president there. It's actually an honor to be hosted on such a platform to discuss issues that affect young people, a lot of mental health. So it's an interesting subject, and hope everyone else will be able to follow through and learn with all of us today.
Thank you very much. We also have our sign language interpreter, Mr. Paul Kunda. I welcome each and every one of you that are joining us. You're free to comment in the comment section on our Facebook page. We'll be able to read your comments and also your questions if you have any, even as you follow through our conversation this afternoon. So we are looking at a very interesting topic that has made so much noise in the past months, years, issues of mental health. So just to kickstart it, Muiza, how would you describe what mental health really is?
Okay, well, mental health basically is our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. So it affects how we feel, how we think, and also how we act. So when I talk about thinking, this is our thought pattern. What kind of thought patterns do you have? Are they negative? Are they positive? Then under feelings, it's your emotions. How do you feel emotionally? How do you respond to certain things that happen to you? And then under act or action, it is your behavior. So everything that you think and feel is shown via your behavior. So we can't see or read your thoughts or your feelings, but it's interpreted through your actions. That's when we get to know, okay, that one is thinking this, or was actually thinking that, or was feeling this way. Mental health is something that also helps us to handle challenging situations in our lives. And then it also helps us relate to others. We're able to relate to people in our families, in our environment generally, and then also making healthy decisions. In this journey of life that we're in, it's important that we make decisions that are healthy for us and those around us. So our mental health really plays a role in all of
Wow. Thank you very much. That's an amazing definition that you have given. It has covered quite a lot. I like how you have interpreted it to be more like it also affects our behavior and how we are unable to really know what people are thinking, but by virtue of their response, their
it.
actions, we're able to pick what is really going on in someone's head. You're welcome, Mr. Darius. Thank you for joining us. Maybe you can take up the second question. How can we classify mental health disorders or illnesses? How would you classify them? Please unmute your mic. Muiza, you can take it up. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So when we look at classifications of mental health issues or mental health disorders, we can bring it down to two, psychosis and neurosis. Now, when we talk about psychosis, we are talking about very severe, very serious mental health conditions like schizophrenia or bipolar disorder. Now, I characterize these, or they're characterized, sorry, as serious conditions because they're characterized by hallucinations, delusions, seeing things or hearing things that are not there. And also the inability to interpret the environment or reality as it is. They are not subjective in they're not objective. They are mostly objective views of what someone has of their reality. So, you can see animals running in the yard when there's nothing. You can see or hear voices. Sorry, you can hear voices and see things that other people are not hearing and see. And then under neurosis, these are these are less severe, less serious. We have things like depression, anxiety, we have stress related, and these are the ones that are suitable to talk therapy or psychotherapy. But for psychosis, we have to administer some medication to help with the treatment. We go the pharmacological way and help to balance issues of neurotransmitters that are not working right at that time for patients or clients that are going through either schizophrenia, bipolar, or other um, conditions under psychosis. And you can also couple it with psychotherapy as they're taking their medication. They're also seeing therapists to just help them balance the treatment.
Okay. Thank you very much. I like how you have differentiated the two. Often, people, when we're talking about mental health issues, everyone tends to gaze at Chainama and think as though if I mention I have a mental health issue, people will think maybe I'm affiliated with the severe ones. But I like how you have differentiated them to say there's the serious cases and the milder form of mental health issues. Maybe you can just what would you say the causes of mental health issues are?
So ideally, what causes mental health issues? A couple of factors. Ideally, I think as young people, it being a young person kind of populated country, as we're listening to such kind of platforms, we must pay particular attention from the basis of a definition of what mental health is to what it's been actually classified. So some of the things that actually cause mental health disorders or illnesses can be childhood abuse or trauma or neglect. I mean, many of the times when just in our own very homes, we go through different circumstances that can actually be at the back of our heads, and that disturbs our thought process. It disturbs how clearly we're able to think, how we're able to solve problems and challenges as youth as we are. Let's talk about social isolation and loneliness. All those kind of cause mental health illnesses. Unemployment, as epic as it is right now in the country, that can also actually cause mental health disorders. You are unable to think clearly, to create solutions, to put yourself in a situation where you're able to make the right decisions. Let's talk about domestic violence, bullying, and abuse for adults. All of these are actually issues that cause mental health. Homelessness is the other one as well. Poor housing. We've got literally individuals who may be young people, different ages, because mental health has no age or race attached to it. So the fact that you're living in a poor housing kind of structure or you are homeless, unfortunately, that also kind of leads to mental health illnesses or disorders.
Well, thank you so much. Darius, would you like to add on to causes of mental health issues? Mm,
Hello. I don't know. I've
yes.
had some bad reception. So just come again. Come again with the question.
we are looking at the causes of mental health issues. What would you say are causes of mental health issues, adding on to what Enoch has already said?
Okay, so the causes range from biological, there's also environmental, there is social. Yeah, so when we talk about, let's say, for example, social, challenges or social factors, we are looking at basically things like poverty. Okay, somebody lives in abstract poverty. As a result of that, they this can lead to stress. Okay, and persistent stress can lead to burnout. Okay, depression. People get depressed as a result of not living the kind of life they wish to live. Okay, so when you talk about biological factors, this could be somebody maybe is abusing drugs, okay, or taking substances that are affecting the way their body chemistry, their normal body chemistry should be. Okay, and of course this can even lead to psychosis. So environmental factors could be issues pertaining to where you live. Okay, there are certain things that come as a result of the environment in which we live in. Okay, so yeah, this is it. Environment could also mean issues of peer pressure. Okay, peer pressure can lead you to certain behaviors or certain practices that would predispose you. Yeah, so basically three major issues: biological, environmental, and social factors.
So, who would you say is at risk of being affected by mental health issues?
So I always tell this, I always say this to my clients that
Uh-huh.
mental, by the way, maybe before I can tackle your question in the way that you phrased it, allow me to say this. Health, before we even categorize it under mental or physical or social health or whatever, health in itself is not just about physical well-being, or yeah, because in most cases, most of us think being health is just about the physique. Okay, and so World Health Organization defines health as not necessarily an absence of disease, but the well-being of our social, mental, and physical states. All right. So now, when we talk mental health, when we talk mental health, when we talk mental health, we we are trying. It's something that affects everyone, ranging from kids, middle-aged, and even those who are old. Okay, and here is the reason why I want. Let me justify. Some of us here have reared chickens. I believe if you've not reared chickens, at least you may have a friend or relative who rears chickens. If you ask people who have reared chickens before, they will tell you that chickens, we buy stress packs. Okay, stress packs for chickens. Now, if a chicken can get stressed, and we know, you and I know, a chicken is not a logical creature. How much more a human being? So, regardless of age, okay, somebody can be a kid, okay, middle-aged or old-aged. We are all we are all at risk of mental illnesses or mental health challenges.
Oh, thank you very much for that elaborate explanation. Um, our chat is so active right now, and we're just going to go right there and just read a few comments. Um, please keep them coming. Invite somebody. It's not too late to join in the conversation. Okay, so here is Emma. Emma says, how do you get one to open up to you or anyone else when they are going through problems to avoid them from getting into depression, which will lead them to suicidal thoughts and later on suicide? Plus, where can one get help relating to this, to their health issues? So, Emma, concerning help, We will be dealing with that question as the conversation is going, so please do stay tuned. But concerning how to get somebody to open up to, to if they are having issues, what would you say? What would be your advice to somebody if you notice that they're having challenges and you want them to open up to you? How would you approach that situation?
Initially, it all begins with the relationships that we establish. So, starting from there, from our kin friends, from our families, and our other different relatives, someone cannot entrust you with private or personal information that may, for example, put them in a difficult position if you haven't first created that atmosphere for you to interact with them. So, initially, it actually starts with you creating a suitable environment, unlike being judgy, which mostly I think people have been fallen prone to, where you feel as soon as you express something, someone will judge you based on it. Developing a listening ear as well is something that actually works. It must be something that someone can say, okay, you know what, I can open up to that person and then I can get a piece of advice. In most instances, someone may just want someone to actually listen to, or not necessarily provide a solution, but just someone to listen to them, that they're able to feel better and they're able to think properly to find a solution. So it's mostly about the environment that we create with our friends and families. The more we become toxic in our relationships with our friends and families, the less they're going to be expressive about their problems and challenges, and will just be growing in the number of mental health illnesses around the country and in our society. So ideally, it begins with us creating healthy relationships in conversation, in acts, and in how we associate in different youth groups and in different gatherings and settings.
All right. Thank you very much. I hope that answers your question, Emma. So we'll read one more in the comments as we continue on with our conversation. So Enoch says, what are some of the home remedies one would use to prevent severe mental health challenges if such a one happens to be in an area where psychological services are not available from professionals? Misa, how would you answer to this need?
Okay. What I can advise is in situations where you don't immediately have access to mental health services or psychological services, what really helps to combat most psychological issues or most mental health issues is talking. Um, as Enoch had just explained, the environment you're in really plays a role in, how the condition you have even develops. If we find ourselves in an environment that's not welcoming, an environment that encourages us to keep quiet about what we're going through, whatever it is that is burning inside us will burn us until you're normal. So it's important that the people we are around are also paying attention to us, basically. So pay attention to the people around you. I always say this, kindness is not expensive. We can all afford that. Being kind, being loving, being 100% a human is all that we need to begin the fight against issues of mental health. Because if I'm kind, if I'm affectionate, someone will find room in me to confide in, open up about their challenge. It doesn't mean that when they tell me, it automatically disappears. But we have moved a step forward in trying to solve the problem. So let's be kind, let's be loving, because as human beings, I think each and every one of us here can attest that we desire, we crave affection and acceptance. That is what makes us grow and glow as human beings. So if we find ourselves in spaces where we don't feel any affection, we don't feel any love, we are not comfortable, we are not brought into the space, then that's a remedy for a possible disaster. So in cases like that,
I don't know if I can add.
uh,
All
yes,
right.
Mr. Okay,
All right.
so yeah, that's basically how I can advise. That's the advice I can give.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Darius. You can add on in under 2
Uh,
minutes.
yeah, are you able to hear me? I think my reception is quite bad.
Yes, you're clear.
You
Please go
able to
ahead.
hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Please go ahead.
So, in addition to what my colleagues have said, in addition to what my colleagues have said on the home remedies, now, of course, there is nothing that can substitute or can replace professional help, even where professional help is not there. At least it's important. Let's strive hard to ensure that we get professional help. But anyway, in the absence of professional help, it's important, number one, keep an active body. All right, keep an active body. If you're able to play soccer, play soccer. If you're able to jog, jog. If you're able to walk some long distance, walk. If you're able to do something that at least will keep your body active. Now, an active body makes, when the body is active, the brain, okay, the brain releases happy chemicals. Okay, so it's, at least it will help one with dealing with mood, bad moods or mood swings. Okay, at least keep an active body. Then number two, it's important, have quality rests. All right, have quality rest. A good number of us, we rest but we do not have quality rest. I'll give you an example. If you eat food, or if you have a heavy meal in the night, then I can assure you whatever rest you have is not quality, because that means you, even as you are going to be sleeping, your mind is not going to be at rest. Okay, because of the digestion that will be taking place. Okay, then number two, the number of hours matter also. Some of us, we sleep, yes, but you find that the number of hours are very few. At least if you can have minimum of 6 hours of rest, and of the 6 hours, two should be before, at least before midnight. All right. There is a saying that you know that an hour of rest before midnight is worth 2 hours after midnight. So it's important, at least before midnight, if we can have 2 hours of rest before midnight and at least four or more after midnight, that's okay. So that at least by the time you're waking up, your body refreshed itself. So those are some of the home remedies. Apart from that, mindfulness. I don't know if this is a rare thing among us, especially Zambians or Africans, but it's a very common practice among Asians, practicing mindfulness or meditation. Okay, it's a very good practice. You just find some quiet place where you can just meditate. Okay, meditate. Of course, it needs a bit of some techniques, some skills to be trained in this, but it's not a very difficult thing. But these can be helpful. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for those amazing responses. Enoch, I hope those have answered your question in the comments section. We will be answering your questions in the comments even after the show is over. So please be on the lookout for responses. So just to continue the conversation, Muiza, what would you say leads? Would you say would you say that mental health issues can lead to suicide? And if
Um,
so, how?
okay. Um, suicide is basically the deliberate taking of one's life, and um, we can't say or classify it as a mental disorder, but it does come into play by virtue of having, it can come into play by virtue of having an illness, a mental illness, sorry. Most causes of suicide, we can say, are from experience and from practice, is depression. I can give an example of depression. When someone is uh, depressed, the clinical level of depression, you find that they have no hope, they have no desire, there's no motivation in them to live, and they feel like the whole world has basically collapsed around them, and that's the only way out they see. So removing themselves from the environment, removing themselves from the earth is basically like the only solution they see themselves having. And it starts from just an idea. I'll think about it today, it goes away. I'll think about it tomorrow. And then next, I start to plan. I start to, a lot of work goes into it. Thinking about it, then you plan, you see what you can use, and then eventually disaster strikes, and we hear of stories of someone taking their own life. So it it isn't a disorder, but it can come into play from the part of a disorder, from a mental disorder range. It can come from either substance abuse disorders that happens, even those that have suffered schizophrenia or are dealing with schizophrenia, bipolar, mood disorders. You see cases of suicide ideation, even just having an idea that is something very serious. Thinking about taking your life is something very serious. And eventually, when someone starts to think about it, then eventually they will start to plan. And then they want to execute that plan because they are now convicted with taking their own life.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. What they say, time flies when you're having an amazing time. So we'll rush through the remaining questions. Enoch, how can you comment on the effect these things have on adolescents? How can mental health issues affect adolescents?
So when one is an adolescent, they are literally at a critical stage in life where they're experiencing many physical, emotional, and social changes around them. I think I'll give quite a very good example. Maybe that adolescent where ever been in a situation that back in your primary or secondary school days, you would rather go with your mother to collect results. You are avoiding to go with your father because you know the conversation you're going to have thereafter. So you'd find that at the time that you're in university and then you have a repeat course, that would definitely affect on how you feel comfortable telling your parents about it because they definitely have to support for you to go for it. So as adolescents, they literally have drastic and massive effects where you are unable to function properly, you're unable to solve problems. Let's bear in mind that when you're an adolescent, you're also at a stage that you must make critical, important life decisions. You're supposed to decide in which direction your life is supposed to go for you to have a better future at the end. Now, imagine having to experience various number of mental disorders and illnesses at the same time. So it's going to affect how you think. It's going to affect how you're able to provide solutions for the society that you're in. There are young people who literally want to be influential in the country, but because of various mental illnesses and disorders, the pace of growth is slowed down. So that also comes in play. The aspect of building long lasting, healthy relationships is also affected because when one is an adolescent, you're at a stage that you must create important and healthy relationships with other people. But imagine being in a situation where you're unable to create those relationships because of the mental health challenges that you're actually having. So all of these aspects that mental health illnesses affect the adolescents. It's a critical stage in life, and as such, we must be very careful as young people and as adolescents to ensure that our mental health is straight and it's right for us to make important decisions in life at this stage.
Well, thank you very much. I believe that has been very helpful to the adolescents right out there. We had a very critical phase of our lives, and it's important that our minds, are orderly and healthy for us to be able to make lifelong decisions and for us to actually lead healthy lives. Thank you very much for that, Enoch. So, Mr. Darius, can you do you think that having mental health issues can actually increase the risks of sexually transmitted infections?
Absolutely, absolutely. And here is why and how. Let me give you an example. If you come from a background, for example, where you you have got daddy issues, all right, or maybe you you've grown up this traumatized, this sad young girl, young man, as a result because you do. Okay, in the let me give an example of a girl, right? A girl. So a girl, this young girl that had no male figure in their life, and they grow up like that. Obviously, they'll have something lacking in them because at a particular time in the development of a person, they'll need the presence of the parent of the opposite sex. That's very important to help them with self-confidence and a certain part of just their mental fortitude. Okay, so this young girl who grows up like this has and then if this childhood what's this childhood absence of the father is unresolved even as they grow up, this person is likely more likely going to fall into the trap of every man out there who comes and compliments them and appears available, and so this person is likely to go out with different men who just come to deceive them. All right, so this would lead obviously to casual sex, or rather illicit sex, okay, which would do that. Apart from that, there's some people whom Muiza was saying, they're depressed, okay, and you are depressed, you've reached a point where you've lost hope, and if you've lost hope, you not be careful, you not live life responsibly, okay, so you'll be it's like even the responsibility that we attach to sexuality or sexual activities of, let's say, okay, I'm going to engage or involve myself in a sexual activity, but I'll do it safe. I'm gonna use condoms. I'm gonna administer PrEP or PEP. You not care about that. Why? Because you've lost hope. To you, you don't feel like there's anything worth living for. Okay, it will not matter. All right, you're just living for now, and tomorrow you would want to be normal. So definitely having mental health challenge or mental illness puts one at high risk of contracting sexually transmitted diseases.
Well, thank you very much for that. So, Muiza, here is a person comes to you. They have mental health, they have a mental health challenge. How then would you should that be tackled? How would you advise them to go about it?
Okay, very first thing, if they were to come to me with a challenge saying they have a mental health problem, first of all, I would applaud them for coming forward and seeking help because I must say that it's not an easy thing for someone to come and tell you, I have this challenge and it's a mental health issue and I need help. Because of the stigma and the discrimination we are still fighting that is attached to issues to do with mental health, you have very few people even wanting to come out in the open to ask for help. So the first thing I would do would be to commend that person, and applaud them for coming out and asking for the help. Then the second thing would be, to find out from them what the details of this challenge they have. What is this that you think you have? And then from there, we can now find out how we can place them on a treatment plan, what kind of challenges they have, and how, best we can put them in a facility also that can help them with their challenge.
All right, thank you very much, Miss Enoch. Maybe you can add to how these issues can be tackled.
I think ideally mental health illnesses have to heavily depend on a listening ear, and the individual on the other end receiving the information has to be very informed about the stages that they'll necessarily have to take to ensure that they find a creative solution to it, especially in a way that the other person who's being advised or who's being given information does not feel judged. So I think just adding on what Mizo was mentioning, it's my ideal an aspect of being informed, having a listening and providing creative solutions to ensure that the person is comfortable enough and they're definitely treated in the right way.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Well, this has been a very amazing discussion. Before I just bring it to a close, under 30 seconds, I'm going to ask each of our guests to just outline one take home message where if somebody who has been following this, this conversation were to just run with this one point, it would save them or even save a life. Enoch, what would be your take home message from this conversation?
Young man, young woman, be informed. There's a whole lot that you're going to solve yourself with if you're an informed young person in this generation. You're going to deal away with a lot of most of these mental health illnesses if you're actually informed young people. You need to know the direction that your life is going into. Focus on growing in that area. And aside that, have a very good self-esteem about yourself. That way you're definitely going to become a better person. You make better decisions because you're an informed person in this generation and your esteem is okay. So be informed, make the right decisions, and have a very good esteem on your side, and you'll be good.
Thank you very much, Mr. Darius. What would you be? What would your take home message be?
Okay, so number one, um, there is no health without mental health. So if if you care about your health, uh, please, the same way you go to check to do your BP checkups, your sugar, your diabetes checkups, your HIV tests, and so on and so forth, please do mental health checkups. Check in with a professional. At least if you can do that once in a quarter or 4 times in a year, that's okay. Otherwise, there's no health without mental health. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Mweza, what would be your take home message?
What I can just say to everyone watching and listening is when you hear mental health, please don't run and don't be scared. It's not a China case. We'll not strap you and put you away. Mental health is a very important part of your life, and it's one cup of your health that you have to keep checking and keep filling. The moment the mental health cup goes empty, then it's a problem. When we have a wound, we can easily just clean it and stitch it, and in a few days, the skin does its magic and the wound starts healing. But when the scars are psychological, they are way deeper than that. And the fact that no one can see them, only you going through that can feel and understand what exactly you're going through. It's okay to open. Don't be afraid to ask for help, because you know what? Your mental health is the biggest and most important part of your health, because we are able to work, we're able to speak, we're able to do everything we're doing because the headquarters, which is our mental health, is running properly. So if the headquarters has a problem, it will affect everything else. So let's take care of our mental health and let's not be afraid to go out there and ask for help. Professionals are everywhere, they are there for you. So find the ones that you are comfortable with, and just like Mr. Darius has said, go for checkups. The way you do the BP, the diabetes, go ahead, have those checkups. It doesn't mean that, you are a severe case. It means you're just being proactive and taking care of yourself. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have come to the end of our today's show. I hope you have learned one or two things from this show. We are Zambian Youth Platform, coming to you under the Real Talks, under the Real Talk Show. We come to you every Friday at 2 p.m. Central African time. For your comments that have been that are still haven't been answered on our Facebook page, we'll be able to attend to them even after the show has come to an end. Thank you so much for following through us this conversation. Have a good afternoon.